All right. Okay, so you should see my welcome page, correct?
Uh, Confidence building webinar workshop.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're gonna get started. If somebody else pops in, great. I'll let them in. Otherwise, we'll just roll with it. And being that this is recorded, I can go back and I can see, um, just kind of see everything that uh, they can go back and watch it, listen to it, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so I just want to start out by saying thank you for joining me tonight. And um, you may hear toddlers or you may hear infants in the background. So I apologize in advance. If they do need something, I will come back real quick. I'll take care of them and we'll come back and get back to doing what we're doing.
Sounds good.
And another reminder is that I am not your trainer for most people. I know there's a couple people that are doing lessons. I'm not your instructor. So how you utilize this information is up to you. I always recommend that you get an instructor or trainer to help you with some of this. But if it is something of interest to you in the future, then I will gladly help you. I also do virtual lessons along with a virtual online horse course.
Sounds good.
Okay, so next. So a lot of people end up having issues as far as confidence. And for you as humans, the confidence will depend on how you decide to show up. So they don't always show up. The horses don't always respond to your cues. They will oftentimes respond to your energy, your intent, clarity. And so, I'm sorry, a rider or handler who is uncertain, they'll have more tendencies to hesitate mid cue. They may not cue completely. They may second guess their choices. They'll apologize with their body or their voice, which is very common. I'm always talking to my horse and go, "I'm so sorry." They'll be more reactive when things go wrong. So like, if they get an explosive behavior that they weren't expecting out of their horse, they'll explode and respond as well, which can be very confusing to the horse. Horses thrive on consistency and certain. Oh, I can't even talk tonight. I'm sorry. So the consistency that they need in their training is that if there's somebody who's not consistent and they're questioning themselves, that horse is going to go, I don't know that you know what you want, so how am I supposed to know what I want? And if your body says, as a person, I don't know, then your horse will start taking over to make the decisions for you. So the confidence that we have allows you to lead, not by force. We're not trying to force our horse to do anything. And so many people default into either being too passive, where they're nervous and they're quiet, they're unsure, or they turn over and go to the other extreme of being too aggressive, overcorrecting, frustrated, mechanical, overpowering, even when they don't feel confident. So being able to be confident means you can stay calm, you're kind to your horse, you hold healthy boundaries, meaning you don't let your horse walk all over you, but you don't overstep your bounds either. And then you also make clear decisions without letting emotion rule what happened in the moment. Meaning, if you're mad, You don't go and sit there and pound on that horse for the next 10 minutes because of one tiny mistake, because maybe they stepped on your toe. Let's be realistic. Okay. They aren't going to intentionally always step on your toes. It happens. We put our feet in the wrong place, just like they put their feet in the wrong place. So it can change the learning environment. Your brain cannot learn in a state of fear or anxiety. And it goes for the same with the horse. We actually learn when we have dopamine hits. And so we need that dopamine, and we'll actually retain the information better. And confidence puts both you and your horse in a growth mindset, which means in the long run, you're more relaxed. You become more curious. You are then open to more newer challenges that maybe you wouldn't have thought about was being okay. And you're less likely to lose it, or to have your emotions just go all haywire, or things spiral out of control, especially if something goes off script. So my question is, do we really need to have a script? How important is that? We can go in with a plan and say, we're going to do A, B, C, D, but then we realize, you know what, maybe my horse is only understanding plan A, and we're not going to get to plan C today. We are so far behind. I thought my horse was ready for plan, to go to plan C, but it's just not happening. So we're only getting plan B. And that's okay. Or maybe, you get out there and, things take a wild turn, and you got to work on something else that you thought was decent, that you had no plan on doing at all. So for your horse is always reading you. Your horse makes it's their job to read body language all day, every day. Whereas people, we don't. We verbalize everything. For the most part, we verbalize. Now, there are some people that are better at reading body language. They have studied it. But for the most part, the average person, we verbalize what we want. So horses, they can feel our tension, our frustration, our fear, or even our over excitement, even if you try to hide it. So a good thing to try to remember is that if you're nervous, your body says you're nervous, but it's actually the same feeling as if you're actually excited. So sometimes we can kind of play with our brain and our mechanics and say, oh yeah, we're actually excited. Even though we're really nervous, our brain will sometimes still think the same way. So if you are anxious, your horse will feel that and may become braced or become overly watchful. If you're overly excited or overly hyped, your horse may get jumpy or overstimulated. If you're insecure, your horse may test your boundaries to see who's actually in charge. If they think, oh, this person doesn't know anything, I'm going to take over. I'm going to take us over back to the trailer because we're lost on this trail ride. Or we're done riding in the arena. I'm going to take you back to the gate. Horses are always going to seek the safety and the stability of a leader. And we can talk about leaders and leadership and partnership being 50-50, but we also have to remember that horses are a lot like kids. Are we going to, in most horses, the very max we can get out of them, brain power wise, is they are approximately equivalent to that of a 6-year-old child. So if we have a 6-year-old child, do they still make mistakes in life?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We still have to help them make decisions. So we still we can ask a horse and we can give them credit and we can say, just like we do a child, go put your dirty dish in the sink. And if they do it, great, fantastic, awesome. You did as I asked. And we didn't have to maybe hold their hand the whole time doing it. But to start out, we may have to hold their hand. We may have to say, hey, we're going to go over here. We're going to put your dirty dish in the sink. But after a while, by the time they hit that 6-year-old year-ish, or if you're like my toddler, if I tell her to put a dirty dish in the sink, she's usually going to do it. Maybe not always, but usually I don't have to hold her hand. It's the same way with horses. Eventually, we're not going to have to hold their hand for everything we ask. We would like them to start taking over if we ask them to do something, but we're not going to ask them and say, oh, you want to do it? And they're like, nope, I don't want to do it today because, those cows that they're on the road, we got to go gather them up, but I'd rather go eat hay with my buddies. I'm sorry, we still got to go get those cows off the road because it's going to be it's kind of important. So we still need to be a leader to a point. So confidence helps to build their bravery as well. Not majority of all horses, they're not born brave. Some are a little bit more brave than others, but for the most part, they are not. And so they become brave when they learn how to trust us. Now, does that mean that they're going to trust every single rider that gets on them? No. Some horses are one-person type horses. And so when they learn to trust you, they'll learn how to approach new situations and be calm and steady throughout that leadership. They are going to always take emotional cues from you. Now, there are some horses that are fantastic and great, and those are like those, diamond in the rough type horses you can throw anybody on, but they are hard to find. You can throw your kid on and your kid's going to panic and that horse is like, I got you. But those are not very often. And a lot of times they end up being the ones that have been there, done that, because they've already been through a lot of this. So a lot of these horses that need to have that bravery, they'll start to try rather than shut down. And they can build that resilience through small, successful challenges by you saying, if you think it's okay, I can be okay as well. And that also helps your horse feel better about feeling seen and understood. If we just go and throw our horse in there and say, you're going to do this, they're going to go, no, I'm not. So we do have to go back and say, no, it's okay. We're going to start small. So if we hand out or, drag out our huge, big tarp, that's going to scare a horse. But if we start out and we fold that tarp up into tiny little pieces or, tiny itty bitty little more manageable square, and we can show it to them and we can, hold it on our hand and we can let them follow it and let them smell it. And then we unfold it another fold and they're like, oh, okay, it's still the same thing. It's not going to hurt us. And eventually you just get it bigger and bigger. And they don't realize that it's that same spooky tarp. You take and make it small itty bitty steps. And so the same thing goes back. You don't punish them for spooking because that's not going to help them. You have to stop, pause, and allow that horse to reset so they can think through what their issue is. We're not forcing compliance. We're not making them do something. We're working through what their resistance is by adding that curiosity factor. A lot of horses are curious. They want to go see something. And by doing that, you can help build a partnership rather than a power struggle. And we're not pretending to be fearless. We're just trying to allow them to be trusting that you can handle what comes up, however or whatever it may be. So here's a couple exercises for you and your horse. This is what I call the start and stop game, and it helps to build clarity and calm their attention. So what we're going to do first is we're going to lead the horse at a walk, and eventually you can do this riding, but for now, to start out with, start them by leading them at the walk. And you're going to practice stopping and standing still on cue. And then you're going to reward them for calmness and stillness. This especially helps if you have a horse that gets really amped up. I'm going to pause this just for a second, and I'm going to go get my son laid down for a second, okay?
Sounds good.
Let me... Okay, I'm sorry. So that is your first exercise. So that works, like I said, great if you have a horse that's not very good on the ground or maybe anxious in the saddle. You can work on that and just allow them to calm down, and you calm down. The next exercise is the touch everything walk. And I did this with, I had a well, she wasn't old. She was old when she passed away, but I had a show mare that I had to do this every single horse show I went to. Didn't matter if it was the same showgrounds, didn't matter if she'd been there 5 times that same year. I had to go around and touch everything in hand before I ever saddled her up and got on her. We would go and see banners. We would see the announcer's booth. We would go and see any obstacles that were laid out already. We would go and just kind of walk around the perimeter of the trailer parking or stalls or wherever we were. And I would just let her investigate or see everything. If I didn't do this, she was a red-headed, hot mess. As long as I did this, she was great. She was her normal, calm, quiet self. But if I didn't take the 10, 15 minutes or, if it was a bigger area, bigger grounds, might have taken me 30 minutes to an hour. If I didn't do that, it was just too much. And so that's what we did. And it worked very well for her. Another exercise is to develop, this will not only help develop a feel and responsiveness, but to do one rein and one step. You ask for one small step, doesn't matter if it's forward, back, or lateral, with the slightest cue, and reward immediately. Timing is everything. You need to do this very well. And I'm talking the timing needs to be within 3/4 of a second, because that is how horses learn. And so you can do that even on the ground. You can, instead of, necessarily with the rein, we can ask them to back and, hey, just do one step. Just do one step forward, one step back. We're going to just move your hindquarters, or we're just going to move your front end and pivot. Whatever the case may be, that's what we're going to work on. And that can help your horse realize and take a deep breath and go, oh, this is all that's being asked of me. And that will help your confidence along with your horse's confidence as well. So another one that is great, kind of goes back to me talking about tarps and different obstacles, is obstacle confidence. You can set up a real simple obstacle course at home, and you work through things together. So like I said, some different obstacles include tarps, weaving cones, stepping over ground poles, touching a ball or a flag. You can get streamers and hang them up in doorways. You can get creative pool noodles. I have an infant and a toddler, so I have a baby stroller, and oh my gosh, my weanlings that have seen that baby stroller forever, it doesn't bother them. But I have a 2-year-old that came in, and oh my gosh, that stroller is going to eat her. She swears it's going to eat her. And so that stroller is something that we, have been working on from a distance that she could see. And she's like, oh, it's not going to chase me. I can see it as long as I'm over there. And a lot of times I'll go get a yearling or a weanling, or it doesn't matter, and I will lead them, but I'm going to have them follow that stroller. So there's always different types of things that you can work on. Might be a bridge. I've seen it where people will get like a little kiddie pool, and they'll throw empty soda bottles in it, so it'll make like crinkling noises, and you just slowly build on different things that they can build on in order to help set up their confidence and yours. And you start doing it on the ground, and you know what? It becomes a lot of fun, actually. And once you get confident on the ground, you can do it in the saddle. And there are so many different patterns to do, different ideas to do, that they're, find them online, find them on Pinterest. There's local horse shows as well, and they make them a lot of fun, and it helps you and your horse develop that confidence in order to be a team. So lastly, we're going to talk about a 2-minute connection session, which is where you reconnect and reset. So this is where, instead of having that agenda or having that script that I was talking about, you don't have an agenda. You don't have a script. And this especially works really great if stuff is starting to go wrong. Give up on that agenda. Forget about the script that you originally thought you were going to have, and just stand next to your horse quietly. Scratch on them. Breathe with them. Try to let them relax and settle down, and don't have a task in mind. It might take 5 minutes. It might take 10 minutes. It might take 30 minutes for them to let down, to relax, to breathe, lick their lips, and then be done. Because sometimes that's when you have the bigger breakthroughs, when you're really not doing much. And there are a lot of different ways that you can work with a horse on the ground or in the saddle that is more mind challenging versus physically challenging. And I've had some horses that in-person lessons, they leave here and they like their mind and the people, they're just going, oh my gosh, I am so tired. I learned so much, but we didn't do much. Well, we didn't do much, but it was a lot mentally. And so sometimes that's when you really get through to that horse. So another thing we're going to talk about is what happens if you get nervous. And so that is something that is very normal. And like I said earlier, if you convince yourself that you're excited instead of nervous, your body really doesn't know the difference. So some exercises to do is to try and ground yourself. So before you go work with your horse, make sure that you take some deep breaths in through the nose and out through your mouth. You can tell yourself, I'm safe. I don't have to rush. Going back to that, don't have an agenda. You can stretch or move your body to help get rid of any nervous energy. So even if that means like going for a jog or jogging in place or stretching is really good anyway to before you ride. I encourage stretching. I make a lot of my riders do different stretches in the saddle. And if they really struggle, I'll make them do some stretches out of the saddle as well. But that helps them to be able to help regulate their body and the tension that's in their body. So another thing, keep it simple. If you're super nervous, you don't have to train. You just have to work on trying to connect with your horse. Groom your horse. Walk them in hand. Sit outside the pen with them. That is still building trust with your horse. And so you can see this picture with my annoying pet donkey who is a pasture pet and absolutely worthless. But she started out, when I got her, you couldn't come within 100 feet of her. She wouldn't let you touch her. But slowly but surely, she got closer and closer and closer. Now she's the first one that meets you at the gate and demands that you pet on her and love on her and give her attention. But it takes time and patience to do that, especially with a donkey, because they know they're not like a horse. They're smarter than a horse. They're not stubborn. They're smarter. So if you do have a plan or do have an agenda, rehearse it. Go through it in your mind. If you want to practice the barrels, you're going to imagine in your mind ahead of time what that perfect barrel run would look like. Think to yourself, I'll get my horse to pick up the correct lead. Or we'll walk into the arena versus we'll jig into the arena. We will both relax. We will both breathe. We will both stop. These little baby steps will help to calm some of those nerves. Another thing to do is to ride with a backup plan. If you need to get off, be done. Have a friend be there if you need some mental support, or if you need to ride in a safe area versus a new area. Go back to some basics. Have a friend be there. Tell them where you're going to be so that way you know you'll be okay. Bring a support tool. And so for me, I have a specific leader open halter that I like and a training stick. Does it mean I use it all the time? No. But I'll have it oftentimes hanging up or next to the fence so that if I need it, it's there. It's the same thing. Use it if you need it. So if you want to ride bareback and learn how to be bareback, but you're struggling, put a neck rope on. That way you can always grab on and hold on to something. End on a win, even if it's tiny. So if you feel nervous, end your session after a clear, successful interaction. So if you get your horse to stop calmly instead of jigging, or you manage to walk 2 circles and they were relaxed instead of nervous and tight and hyper, or maybe your horse actually managed to stand still at the mounting block. You don't even have to walk away from the mounting block. They stood still. End on that win, because that is going to help you develop your confidence. And everybody's going to be different. Some of these are going to be super simple and some of these are going to be way too advanced for other people. It just depends on their level and their experience and what they're going through. So in summary, the confidence is what's going to bridge you and your horse. And without it, your connection is not going to be very good. It's going to be fragile. It's going to be on the rocks. Your communication is not going to be great. it's going to be muddy. It's going to feel like an uphill battle, and you're going to go, what am I doing wrong? So you can create a space where both you grow and you trust and you learn to enjoy the process. And so if this is something that you're struggling with, again, I do offer virtual lessons. You don't have to be located anywhere near me. And I'm also offering a online virtual course. And these are some of the things that we will be going through in that course, if you so choose. So with that, does anybody have any questions before we get off?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I had to put you on mute because the dogs were running around barking, and I'm like, she don't want to hear that.
Okay. All right.
Well, that was a nice little course. I like that. I learned a lot.
Good. All right. And I know you are signed up for the course. So that starts Friday. So if you do have questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you on Friday for the start of the course.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.